don't have to do that, I'm chair. No. You have to because you're vice chair, but I don't have to because I'm chair.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's in the handbook.
Go to comment.
And since she wrote the
Hey,
handbook,
look at all that hair.
Since I wrote
Back
the
to the
handbook.
70s.
boy,
Were you
Okay.
away, like, in a,
I was
or you just do the, I didn't want to say.
No, it's just that.
Okay, can we call the meeting to order?
Yes,
We have a
ma'am.
quorum. It's 6:34. Call to order. First thing I'd like to do is, if you all recall, we had a letter from an individual from town and some concerns. It was at our last meeting, and I had sent it around, and we declined to discuss it. There was another letter that came from the same individual, which was unhappy that we didn't discuss his letter, also was unhappy with some of the comments that were made by members of the commission. I'm just going to remind everyone that we may think it, but we shouldn't say it. Even if whatever we're thinking, let's be charitable, and so that we don't get letters like this. Again, the individual's letter was on Chapter 40B, which is not the purview of the commission of the charter. It's Mass General Law, which is why we chose not to discuss it. So that being said, regular minutes of December 18th.
move to approve?
Second.
Any corrections, changes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? We all good?
I would just offer that I don't appear as either absent or present,
Sorry,
which is
You're
fine with me.
omnipresent.
what was that?
He's not listed, apparently.
Oh, and hold on.
And
As
you were
amended.
actually on, right?
I think I was on the phone.
Oh,
You were on the
you
phone.
remote,
phone.
and you're shown
Remote.
as not being participating.
Okay.
I too was omnipresent.
All right, so with the two corrections of Judith was here, Paul wasn't.
Paul wasn't.
Well,
Oh,
Paul was
was
or
he?
was
You
not?
were here.
I'm
It was
not
only-
in here, but I adjourned, seconded the
Got
adjournment,
it.
so.
So the amendment is both Paul and
Neat
Judith were
trick, huh?
here.
That was my lone contribution, apparently.
Judith was here online.
Online, so the only one who wasn't here was her. We good?
Madam Chair, there's a note in our email for the Charter Commission from Brendan Lowney that he's at CPC tonight for the trust application.
Right,
He
I
should
remember
be here
he-
by
I
7
remember
p.m.
him telling me that, so Brendan will be late. Okay. All right, any other corrections to the Charter Commission? The minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great, thank you. Next, continuing business, I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to go through what are being listed, or what I have listed as open items. And I may have missed something, please, as things are moving around. But this is what I think we have for open items. So at the top of that, if we could just start with, I tossed a couple of things on here which we hadn't talked about, but under town meeting, section 2 in the warrants, in the bylaws, it says that all articles to be submitted in final form by a specific date. And this hasn't been followed. Should this be language in the charter? Because this charter 271.1 is the submission of articles, and there's sections A and B. Should we have a section C?
I would say yes.
Yep.
There should be, but I think it also needs to be clarified as to whether it requires the select board to also have its articles in final form, because there's been some discussion back and forth about that. Sometimes they will put in placeholders while they're waiting for further information. It's their warrant. I would say generally, maybe it wouldn't apply to the select board.
I would, well, yeah, but technically, all of the articles are select board articles, pretty much.
Right, but they're, either way, it doesn't, but I think it should be in there, yes.
Okay, so do we think that should be, and it should say, all articles have to be in by the date certain, in full form? Because you're right, there has been, last year was really bad. Probably half the articles didn't even add words to them until the middle of March. and we have a finance committee who's supposed to vote on them.
Bylaw Charter Review Committee that's
No, we didn't
supposed to take a look at them.
What's the date that it was sent?
Absolutely.
Citizens
What?
petitions,
So she's
I
doing
found
it.
out Monday night
This, I
that there is
just
no
printed
deadline.
this out today.
That's always been a deadline.
There's
Who
a
said
deadline.
that?
Our
It's a-
assistant town administrator, and I checked with,
We don't have an
We don't
assistant
have
committee.
the acting.
the acting, and then I asked, one of the select board members, and he reaffirmed it. They can be turned in, citizens petitions at any time. So we can clarify that, but as it stands right now, it seems,
But they have to be in by the close of a warrant. They have to be in by the close
it was
of a
left pretty
warrant.
open.
Yeah, it's not open.
I'm saying
It's
what
not-
was,
It's not open.
don't argue, it's not me, what was stated, so it's an open issue. We can,
I think there's a misunderstanding.
I think there's a
Maybe.
misunderstanding. So
I've always
Citizens
had to turn them in.
A citizen's petition can go in any time, but it might not necessarily be in time for the next town meeting.
Boy, I tell you, there's a lot of misunderstanding on the part of our,
Okay, right.
okay, so we need to clarify
Right,
that.
so-
Absolutely.
And can I
So
ask
that's a,
question?
that's a different topic, but that's a serious.
Yeah, it is.
Because that flies in the face of about
Where-
40
the
years
charter,
worth
what
of history.
And
I'm not.
Listen to
Can
me.
Oh,
people
where's
bring
27-1?
on the town
You
floor?
have the list?
On the
No,
the town meeting
no,
floor?
Linda turned them into, this-
Or can they only change
You can-
something that's on
We
the,
can,
days
a
ago.
town meeting can
No, I still
only
don't
act
have it.
on what is in the printed warrant.
okay,
Amendments can be made on town meeting floor if the moderator determines that it's within the scope of the original article.
but
Oh,
only
sorry.
on what's already
I just-
there.
What's already, yeah.
Thank you. It went, no, thank you.
All right, going back to this, the,
I like date specific.
well, the date specific is what it's like the second Thursday or second
Yeah.
Friday, whatever it is. So it says all articles. Do you want it to say all articles, no matter the source, including petition articles, citizens petition articles, select board? I mean, how specific do we want to get? All articles to me means all
All
articles.
articles. Yeah, that's.
Because a citizen's petition is an
all-
article,
Right, it's all articles.
Yeah,
all articles.
otherwise you just add more ambiguity.
I'm fine with that.
We okay with this, putting it in the warrant?
I'm,
Excuse me, the charter.
We should probably put in a warrant too.
Yeah, put it in the warrant too. So this is okay?
Yep,
Okay, cool.
Paul, you good with that?
Where are we gonna place this?
I'd
Under
probably
section
put it,
2?
probably,
section 1?
probably in chapter 2, town meeting section, under the warrants section.
Yeah. You have now warrants shall be published in a newspaper. You want to put it in that 222?
It probably should be its own. Its own,
Well, I think we need
Paragraph.
to determine that. I mean, I think, why don't we say one thing or the other? It doesn't matter to me, but. So we make it 223?
let me get to the charter. Warrants issued, published. I would-
And you would list a date or just say, leave it blank and let the bylaws update the specific date?
Well, I just left specific date because as I put this together, because we're talking about changing all of this timing. So it would really be, all articles have to be in by the, whatever we're talking about, the second Friday of January or something.
Yeah, I guess the question is, do you want the date, then these dates, other than
Oh, yeah.
than even the filing of the warrant, specific dates, a bylaw or a charter issue? That's the only
Well,
point
it
I was
was
concerned about.
it was originally passed as a bylaw at town meeting.
I understand, yeah.
So the question is, do you want to put it into the charter?
No, I understand what we're asking in terms of this language, but the reference to by specific date is sort of saying something else will set the date, unless you want to say by February 10th, which I think you'd want to avoid, but maybe not. But to me, maybe the date, specific date, is the bylaw issue, and just simply referring that they shall be in final form by a certain period, whatever we want to say there.
And I think that we have talked and had a general consensus on going from this first Friday in February, moving it back to mid-January somewhere. So I left it as dates, specific date, when we kind of determined, are we looking at the second Friday of January? What are we looking at? That would go in that specific date.
We are determining that, or someone else is determining it?
We're going to,
We're gonna
we're
determine.
going to propose that change.
Okay, well, why don't we tackle that now? Why not move, sort of tighten things up?
Sure, if you want to do that, that's cool.
Well, can we just, hold on one second. Is the selection of the date by which the warrants are to be completed or turned in, let's just use the word turned in. Shouldn't that be chosen by the select board?
No,
So that, well,
if it was up to the select board, they'd probably all put them in on March 20th
Or May 1st.
or May 1st. Well, they'd have to be by April 15th, so we can get it printed.
Plus then they
but it's my document.
There has to be adequate,
It's my
I
warrant.
understand.
There have to be some deadlines.
There've
built
gotta be
into this,
deadlines.
Because otherwise it just gets fractured at the end.
Does it?
You need those.
Okay.
You need those, and just, while
I wanna give them a little latitude.
Not much.
Not
while I have section 4 of,
Okay,
chapter
please.
2 talks about initiative, which is the petitions. And in a sense, Tony's not wrong. It does not specify a date certain. We need to do
Oh.
that. And maybe, just add to or enhance the language of the previous.
So 2-4-1,
Both.
put in the
I like
date.
the idea of having a separate
Yeah,
citizens petition and deal with citizens petition separately.
well, but you want to put there that they shall be submitted as established by chapter yada yada yada, as
yep.
whatever date.
Back to all articles should be
Yeah.
submitted by.
A certain date. So what date would you like, Paul?
My birthday's May 1st.
Enough.
I'm just trying to determine, did the bylaws say a certain day?
Yes, they do.
And what is the day they say?
Here it is, chapter 271-1.
Then
It's
why
right
don't-
under there. All articles to be inserted in the Maytown meeting shall be submitted in final form in writing no later than 12 noon on the second Friday in February. That's
Okay.
the bylaw
Okay,
language, those
then-
two.
Yeah, then why don't we just simply refer to whatever the bylaw says, but refer to them having to be filed by a specific date? I think not mentioning a specific date, it's better that we
You mean
mention
like
the
a
specific date in the
February
bylaw.
15th of every year, is that kind of specific date you're looking for?
No, I'm just saying, if we were to say in the charter that it's going to be March 10th, that's one possibility. I'd prefer to see it say in the bylaws, March 10th. And the charter would simply say the date as set by, or specific date set by the bylaw. So that the charter, if it wants to be changed for whatever reason, at some subsequent time, it can be changed through a bylaw change rather than the charter making a charter change, that's
Why
all.
would you even need to change it?
Yeah, why would you change
I
it?
don't know why we would, but we're talking about
Well, then
changing it
everything
right now.
And everything in the charter, we should just write a charter that says refer to the bylaws, so we can change everything.
Well, that's one avenue.
Yeah.
It's not an avenue I would support.
No, but with that, on that basis, that's kind of
Well,
what you
no,
would do.
it's more the sense that
I mean, if there's a
the
hurricane.
flexibility, well, no, but let's say for some reason, we're changing it now from the second Friday and whatever to March 4th or something. My only point is that it seems like the charter could refer to having all articles in by and reference the period, the specific day, whenever the by is, in the bylaws, not in the charter.
So if somebody's looking for that date, they have to go to two separate documents to find it? That doesn't sound efficient.
No, they have to go to one document, the bylaw.
Well, they don't know that unless they read it in the charter.
Well,
I think it's no
Then
harm
in
bringing
that
it
case, they'd have to go, if they go to the charter first, they would have to go. I mean,
Part of what drove some of this conversation was that within the charter, it says that the select board is supposed to, the town administrator is supposed to present the budget, the second, I think the first, all articles, et cetera, have to be in by the first Friday of February, if I get this right. And that the select board gets 2 weeks before they have to distribute it or release it to the finance committee. So I think one of the things that we agreed upon was they should be the same timing. That when the budget shows up and the articles show up, they should pretty much be released immediately to the finance committee. There's no need to wait
Okay.
for 3 or 4 weeks, because it cuts down on their review time significantly. We then also talked about, should we, the first Friday in February, when I got here first 20 years ago, it was the second Friday in January or something, that the budget and the art, everything had to be in and submitted by the first or second Friday in January. Because of Monomoy Regional School District, they asked, it was a huge chunk of our budget, they asked if it could be put off a month, and that's how we got to the first Friday in February or something like that. We had talked about, and there seemed to be a general agreement even within the select board, moving it back that 2 to 3 weeks. Do we want to suggest that? That's the crux of the question.
I would say so.
Do we want to propose? Now, we can propose something, we present it to the public, the select board say that's not really reasonable, it should be the third
Right.
Friday in January, I don't know.
Well,
What do we
need to
want to propose?
propose moving it back to whatever we're proposing to move it back to, and
February
we'll
10th.
see what the reaction is. Pick
So-
a date, pick something and see.
Second Friday in January
versus February.
versus February. Moves it back 3 weeks.
And can I just ask a history question? I mean, it's not
George Washington.
just a what if. I mean, it's not unlikely that somebody is gonna come up with something terribly urgent in like early April that needs to be addressed, correct? Or is there, some way-
Special town meeting.
That goes into special town meeting.
Inside of,
Okay.
inside of a regular town meeting, that's why that's there.
Thank you.
Also for things that need to be addressed prior to the start of the new fiscal year. Special town meeting is effective right away, whereas the regular town meeting starts July 1st with whatever we decide in those forums.
Because
There
there are some,
clarification, that's
yeah,
all.
and there are, so that if something comes up that has missed the original deadline, even citizens petitions, they can still put in a citizen's petition, but it's 100 signatures, not 10.
So you gotta work for it.
You gotta work for it.
You gotta work for it.
So we good? We can come up with some words, but I'm just trying to get concepts here.
Yes, good.
Okay, cool. Health insurance. If you recall, when some people from the finance committee were in and Dana was talking about the health insurance, that we had a change, town meeting vote that changed the health insurance ability for elected officials, that you had to be full-time, basically. And removing it from all the few part-time people who had it. And Dana said he didn't see that in the bylaws and he didn't see it in the charter. And he's right. It was passed to petition the general court to allow the coverage only if an elected official works 20 hours a week and makes more than $10,000 per year. Town clerk was clearly exempted because that is a full-time in the paperwork. Should this be in the charter? The special act of the general court, which passed in 2013, and it was the 2012 annual town meeting, it didn't change the charter, nor did it add it to the bylaws. It's really nowhere at this point in our documents.
I think their compensation is not in the charter, it's in the bylaws.
Well, this is
And Jim, I don't think it should be in the charter, I think it should be in the bylaws.
in the health insurance thing.
Correct.
That should be, so we should actually propose a bylaw.
Correct.
Perfect.
Maybe we can do that through the bylaw charter review
Yeah.
commission.
You folks can take care of that one.
But Dana's right, it's nowhere.
That's fine, but it just, that doesn't belong.
Yeah.
But I
mean,
think
just
not
kind of a
charter.
hanging chad, is it?
Yeah, it's a hanging chad.
And I'm curious, you said it was 20 hours a week, something like that?
Working 20 hours per week and making at least $10,000 a year.
I'm just thinking of the select board with those enormous packets that they've had.
They don't make 10 grand a year.
Oh, 10 grand from that particular.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think two, I think, right?
2,500.
2,500 at this point.
Yeah.
We started out at 15.
Zero, remember?
No,
Was
it
it?
was never
It's
zero.
just-
Never zero.
It was never
Never?
zero.
There's always something.
No,
So,
we work for the money,
I
for
understand.
sure.
oh, it helps my retirement. There's no doubt.
What retirement?
I get a
You
stipend
don't
from the
retire?
trustees.
Yeah.
I've been an assessor for 20 years, I have a retirement, got $500 a year, goes right to the Barnstable County retirement.
Yep, me too.
I cashed mine out. I got $434.
Oh, heaven.
Alright, so, moving on.
Okay, so health insurance will propose a bylaw change. Got it. Okay. We are still on the fence on appointing and supervising the fire and police chiefs.
Some are.
Some are. Well, I'm saying the committee as a group
Yeah.
is on the fence on this. So I think that, would you think that we should bring in both the police and fire chiefs for a discussion?
Thought we had decided to do that.
I'm just clarifying. Okay, select board has 14 days to, these are not in any particular order, any particular chapter. I was just keeping a running list. Has 14 days to approve or not approve town administrator appointments. Is it calendar or business, and is this really necessary? Because we've had a little bit of conversation about that.
Can I ask a
Go
clarifying
for it.
question, please? Right now, the town administrator, the current town administrator, he makes announcements in his report that I have hired Senator Hall to be the administrative clerk in whatever department. They're not approving, he's announcing those
Yes.
appointments. You're hiring a TA, $240,000 a year.
I
Should
hope they know
have-
what they're doing.
Yeah.
They should have the right to hire without I think a 14-day right of rescission by the select board. Because I think when you do that, it gets into.
Who's in charge?
Who's really in charge?
And not even that, but a select person doesn't like Richard Waystack, so we're not gonna hire you. You know, well, the town administrator's hired me because of my qualifications, et cetera. So someone on the select board doesn't like me, I get a blackball, I'm not hired. I think it should be the town administrator who does the hiring, and as is done now, he will announce to the select board as of Monday, June, January, whatever, so-and-so has been hired in this office.
I'm trying to find the
Yeah.
citation
And
for
I
that.
would
It's
add
in
to
the
that the
select
select
board.
board and the town, because that's what the real,
Announcement is, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what it's for.
Exactly.
What are you thinking?
I can't even
Sandy?
find,
Looking-
I can't
Well,
even
I'm
quickly
thinking about
find
it.
the 14 days,
Just thinking about
the citation.
what the downside is. And actually, as much as it pains me, I agree with Richard.
I knew the day would come. All right, I'm done. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed serving with you all.
So,
My
Your
job here
heart's
is-
desire has been met.
You now can go and die happy.
Yes.
Is this 441, is that the provision?
That's what I'm
you're
hearing.
talking about?
That's the appointing the town administrator.
No,
411,
but
Four-
other, isn't
oh,
it all
four-
department head directors is-
441,
shall have the power to appoint?
yep,
So may I ask?
442, I think is what it is.
it's 442.
442,
Well, for,
Town administrator shall have the authority to appoint, blah, blah, blah. Any such appointments or removals may be overturned only by an affirmative vote of at least 4 members of the select board taken within 14 days of the town administrator's action in initiating such appointment or removal. That's 442.
And that does not negate, for example, the water wastewater commissioners. We,
No, you have control over
Right,
the,
it's your own thing.
okay,
TA doesn't hire those, you do.
yeah,
Yeah.
just like a
Library
library
trustees
trustees, we hire
hire
our
the director.
library people.
Yeah, so, are we good with removing that?
I think so.
Removing the section that says any such appointments.
Correct.
And the 14 days. So completely
You good
remove
with
that.
that, Herb?
That would be
Yep.
our,
It doesn't, but it just to point out, it doesn't actually ask them to take a vote on this. So
No.
if I don't like you and I'm on the select board, I'm one person, I need to get three others.
You served in the Senate, but you know what? You have something up coming next week. I need your vote on this. It can be done. I just think there's no need for it, period. I think
What it
if we-
risks is dragging somebody's name through the mud
Right.
publicly when one select person,
Yeah,
you know, somebody who's coming to work for the town, and that they want their first, public knowledge of that person to be that there's a person on the select board who hates them and doesn't wanna hire them.
and Paul, just, I won't say who, when, where, and how, but in the past, there have been select board members, well, I wanna see all the applications of who you interviewed.
yes.
Either you trust the town administrator to hire, or
Or you
you
don't.
don't.
Right.
If you wanna micromanage everything the town administrator is doing, you know,
Why, I'm.
exactly.
And we don't need to pay that much money if we're gonna
Yeah,
micromanage.
that's true. So that's my point, I just don't think it's necessary.
Get what you pay for.
Okay, I was just trying to point out that it's not something where they sit and think about everything's appointed. It's only if something warrants their concern that they may consider it.
I'm gonna take that right away from them.
We wanna take that right away.
If
'Cause
the-
seriously-
If the town administrator hires a lot of really terrible people, then it's gonna be his job, not.
Exactly. And that goes to the point we were talking about all along, everyone doing their job. Select board, town administrator, charter commission, anyone else, do the job.
Getting out of the day-to-day
Yeah.
operation.
Well, we need to try to give the town administrator enough authority to run the town properly. And enough protection to keep him from being a political football.
yeah, that's a good way to
Try to
put
do
it.
both.
That's
Yeah.
my point,
That's
exactly.
your guardrails.
Yeah. Stop it.
That's two
Never
you've
gonna
agreed.
happen again.
I'm gonna
So
start
this time
keeping
you
track.
agreed with her.
Yeah,
Just
this
wanna
is
point
like-
that
Oh, that's
out.
happened multiple times. this
That's
year.
like two they've agreed, so.
While we're in this area, it's a little murky here. Maybe these need to be looked at. When you look at this, 441 is granting the town administrator the ability to appoint everybody on the basis of merit and fitness alone and remove anybody subject to the approval of 3 or more affirmative votes. And then in this section, it's, the language isn't consistent. It's now saying they may.
But this is only very specific positions that first paragraph is talking about, 3 positions.
Well,
Department heads.
Department heads,
right, but I
division
mean,
directors, and an assistant town administrator.
Do we,
In other words,
yeah, but up here, all full-time town employees. I mean, that's a division head.
No, it's
I'm just
not.
saying there's some inconsistent, we need to
No,
look
'cause
at
they're
this
talking about
language
the
here.
collective
well, then you just
bargaining.
put other than those outlined in section 441.
Well,
or go back to the
that's the
point.
language we could add. That's my point. I think we should just clean this up,
So-
one way or the other.
That's a good point, Paul.
So
I mean-
should the fact that the town administrator wants to appoint a new department head of finance or a new town assessor,
Right.
should that have to go through a vote of the select board, if they get to say, no, we don't like that? Should we give that authority to the town administrator, just like we're saying in 442? You know, you appoint it, you live with it. Maybe that should be the same thing in 441. take out the wording that says, subject to the approval of 3 or more affirmative votes of the select board. Just get rid of that too, because
Well,
then it
that's my
becomes
point. I think
consistent.
we need
Right,
to
no, I
look at
agree.
this
Oh,
more
that's-
closely.
So getting rid
That's
of,
all.
and
There's
subject to
Right.
the
There's
approval of
3
or more.
required
Yeah.
here, they're saying 4 here,
So-
all department heads, certain people.
It is inconsistent, but I think we wanna remove it, so who cares about the inconsistency?
So you
If we're
wanna
gonna remove it,
You wanna remove or the
Subject
subject
to-
to the approval.
Right.
the town administrator shall have the power to appoint blah, 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 blah.
Of that.
Point and remove.
Just appoint and remove.
Okay, well, I mean,
No?
I think
No,
we're
that's
getting
fine.
to it, I'm concerned that
Oh, wait a minute,
time-wise,
you-
we need to kind of zero in and get some of these things determined and move on to the next one.
Can I,
That's what I'm
mention-
trying to do here, Paul.
I know,
Are there-
but it looks like we're sort of saying, this is a consumer, we'll come back to it. I'd like to see us kind
we're-
of tackle it and move on.
I think the only one that we're saying we're gonna continue the discussion so far is fire and police chiefs. We've resolved that one, this one, this
No,
one.
well,
We've done
okay.
4,
It's a
we got 3.
semantic issue.
can I
I won't.
bring up something here? If you have 442 as it's written, and you're taking out any removal, and you say all town employees, all full-time town employees, then you really don't need 441 at all.
I'm not sure, I think the idea was to say department heads were one piece,
But there-
all the
if
other
you're gonna
staff
have the
is
town-
another.
If you're gonna have the
I
town
would
admin-
agree, get rid of it.
Town administrator appointing department heads, division heads, assistant town administrator, and all the other folks, then you don't need to distinguish between them because you've removed the select board's ability to
Richard?
interfere.
Except in a couple of instances by the personal bylaw, library trustees, wastewater commissioners, that is not under the purview, and if we need to really memorialize
As are
that.
some of the,
And that's in the personal bylaw in the union agreements. Yeah, that's fine.
Can I just recommend that our outside attorney, whoever that will eventually be, that the 2 pieces that they look hard on, because that
Do they
could
really
come
need-
back.
Do they really need
I
to?
don't think they need to.
We've gotten by without mentioning the personnel bylaw or union contracts for a lot of years. That's a sort of a separate negotiation among employees and employee unions, that's kind of a given.
And I think that,
Just
you-
to have
right,
them
no,
rewrite it.
Reading again, 442, except as otherwise provided by general law, charter, or by personal bylaws or collective bargaining. So we basically can get rid of 441.
I think we can. Because 441 sounds the same thing, except as otherwise
Yeah.
provided by general laws, this charter, personal bylaw.
Well, the only difference was the affirmative or
Yeah.
pushback from the
Mhm.
select board, and if we think that that is not
So we'll remove-
advantageous and you're gonna remove it, then let's
Yeah,
get
So
rid
we're
of it.
gonna
So we've
remove,
just made a major change.
Yeah,
right, so,
And really cemented it for our purposes.
yes.
All right.
so 441 is
So-
gonna go,
Senator, you brought up a
442
great point.
becomes 441.
We got rid of 441 based on your comments.
And we now know what a strong administrator is.
And we don't
Yeah,
need
oh, yeah.
and we don't need 443 either.
No, I don't need, it was, yeah, I don't even know why 443 is there.
So let's
Well,
remove
because
that.
at some point it was repealed, but
So let's remove 443 as
we'll
well.
just remove that reference. The compliance language, we are still working on that, so that's, we don't need to discuss that any further because that's gonna be another meeting where we keep going through it. I have asked our consultants if they would provide some insight in terms of how to put teeth into a charter compliance commission, what can be done, etc.
So then we now have to change 452.
Sorry?
We have to change 452.
452, why?
Because the creation of any new full-time compensated position which requires the approval of the select board, we've just gotten away with the approval of the select board.
Okay, so the required, so we just
So
So
we're saying the creation of
452.
any new full-time compensated position
shall
Which
not
would-
shall
become
not
a
become effective until the position has been funded by a vote of town meeting.
That's a financial issue.
voted and funded in a separate article.
We didn't get there. We've
Right,
got
and
another.
so, but this was a big discussion. I mean, I've got my questions, my notes from earlier in discussion of that. So Lou, what do you mean, it's a financial and,
Well, it is
town
a fin-
meeting really has the ultimate goal over the budget, and it has to be put in the budget if the town administrator wants an employee.
Well, it has to be in an article first, voted.
that's what this says.
Yes.
It has to be,
And that works.
but we're just getting rid of requires the approval of
works.
select board.
That's what we're
Yeah,
getting, that's
yeah.
the,
Okay.
that's the only wording we're getting rid of.
The problem is, and these, new positions generally probably should go to a ballot as well, because what you're asking the town, you don't wanna stick them in the budget. What's been happening is they've gone into the budget without any additional funding available to support them. And that becomes a problem. So next year's budget, you've got last year's budget, you get to spend an extra 2.5%, but you've got a budget that's grown this much without the additional funding, so, and this would, I suspect, be a decision of the select board, or it has been, but if it's in an article subject to, an override or a debt exclusion or whatever mechanism is appropriate to put that money, add that money to the budget.
I
Because
disagree.
it can't just come out of thin air.
But here's the thing, I think
It
it's
just
funded.
happened.
No, but here's the point. People attend town meeting. They're involved in the discussion, their motions on the floor, their passionate discussions back and forth. Should we fund this position? Should we hire this full-time position? At a ballot box, people have no clue.
How do you pay for it?
But that's what, that's what town meeting will decide. You can't,
Town meeting doesn't get to increase the levy.
Okay, I'm,
no, but here's the thing. So if the select board, the town administrator, or even a citizen's petition comes in, and says, we wanna hire a new
Tree
supervisor."
warden.
Right.
Can I
tree warden,
restate
whatever.
that to make it simple?
I think we're
Let
getting
him
far
finish.
away from what we're talking about here, because the whole concept, and I don't think I have it listed here, is should there be a separate article on new employees? So let's pull this discussion and focus, and keep focus, otherwise we get all over the place.
That's fine. I
So
just,
let's keep it simple,
Keep it simple. So,
I think.
fund the town meeting right now.
452,
Yeah,
so
but-
452,
Yep,
so 452, the creation of any new full-time compensated position, we're going to remove, propose to remove, which requires the approval of the select board, shall not become effective unless the position has been funded by a vote of town meeting.
Yes.
And just leave it at there
in
at
a
that point.
separate article.
That's a different subject.
No, it's not. It's the only subject.
Okay, but I have that as a different one, because I'm not sure people agree with that.
Well, then it's going to continue to get buried in the budget the way
Yes,
it
it
has
will.
been for the last 4 years, and that's unhealthy, and it's causing us financial problems as we speak.
Should we then, okay, I'm willing to take that on. The
How,
creation,
how about if we say the creation of any new full-time compensated position shall become effective only upon being funded by town meeting?
okay,
But you see, this is where it's been misinterpreted already, because that was the original intent of this piece of, wait a minute, let me finish.
Yeah,
That was the original intent of this passage in the 87 chart. It was always intended and understood that those positions would be funded through a vote of town meeting in an article.
but it never said that in
Fast
here.
forward to, not this town administrator,
Previous
didn't,
times.
the previous town
times.
administrator.
Previous times.
Suddenly decided to interpret it that approval by town meeting is if they pass the budget and it's in there.
And to be,
And that's the problem. So we
and-
funded as many as 8 positions in a budget that nobody ever knew. I mean, if you want to expand the police department by 8 members or the fire department by 8 members, it was buried in the budget for the
so,
last number of years. And town meeting never got a say about whether they even wanted to have those increases.
but they
to
did
be-
approve the budget, right? The
Yes.
town meeting did in
Yeah, they
it.
do that in 5 minutes without
Well,
knowing what's in
that,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Just
another
to
issue.
Get
If
it
you
done
want to
now.
expand staff, then it should be something very much
Yeah, very
isolated and
transparent.
separated and highlighted on
But
its own.
rather than having it as right here in this paragraph, isn't that a definition on hiring?
no,
No?
So you would have
No,
the
but
language
these are new
defines
positions.
that an
Yeah,
article
well, what is a new
must
position?
So the
One
town
that is
meeting,
individually
Town
voted on.
meeting article.
the town meeting
One at a
article
time.
says the town wants to hire 4 new
Right.
firemen,
Well,
and we're putting it in an article to see if the town supports hiring that as a particular set aside.
So you're differentiating vote of town meeting from actually having an article, because the vote of town meeting is a vote on the budget,
A
but
vote
you're
of town-
talking
vote
about
of
a
town meeting-
separate
A vote of
article.
town meeting is a vote on an
So
article.
that's the language that needs to be
So-
revised
Yeah.
as
But-
well.
But then, but to be fair, it doesn't say in our charter, separate article. So that's where the
what I'm
weasel
saying, we
came
need to
from.
insert
So
that
do we
language.
want to
I
insert
said to
that
start
language?
out with.
Well, I'm just
Do we want to?
let's put it in.
Yes, 100%.
Well, let's not move on, let's
Is
take
it-
care of it.
Is it just full-time or is it also part-time? Because they
should
cost
be-
money too.
No, but you know what? Here's the thing. They need to bring in, the rec department needs to bring in extra lifeguards or gate attendants or whatever, part-time positions. Do you want that to wait to town meeting?
No.
The separate
Those are
article?
also paid through revolving
Revolving
funds.
funds.
But nonetheless, it's still a position.
Which is
It's
a
a
whole other
part-time
discussion.
position. So
Ah.
I think addressing the whole issue is add the words separate article.
Well, and the difference between full and part-time too is that when you're taking on a full-time person, you're taking on benefits,
Right, right.
vacation, insurance.
And full-time is defined.
Yeah, and if you put the salary into an article, into the budget without clear definition of what it is in an article, you have no idea of whether you've actually funded all
I'm
those
with
things.
you on full-time. I just don't think part-time should be in.
Okay.
I agree. Oh, God.
Creation of any new
This is becoming a
full-time,
habit.
let me try this, the creation of any new full-time compensated position shall not become effective until the position has been funded by a vote of town meeting through a separate article.
In the
I'm not the
form-
wordsmith.
In the form of a separate article. In the form of an article.
Is that,
Of
what does that
In
mean?
the
A
form of an article.
What does that
separate,
mean?
That
of a-
means there's an article.
But the article could say, the town is to appropriate 250,000, 400,000
Yeah.
for employees. It doesn't divide. Gee, each employee
Yes.
has to be, it does?
If the fire department wants 4 new people, then you put in an article that we need to approve X number of dollars to fund the
For
hiring of
lieutenants.
4 additional full-time
But-
policemen.
But that's putting in the budget. What you're saying is, does the town want to hire 4 additional firefighters? Does the town need 4 additional firefighters?
And do you wanna pay for it?
And then it'll be funded
Right.
somehow.
Right.
But the first question is, do you want to hire 4 firefighters? Do you wanna hire a new IT person? Do you wanna hire whatever it might be? Then yes, you can only hire it if it has been funded.
Okay,
Through an article.
so
Source.
when you say through an article, I'm not gonna push back and say, but I do have an article, Sandy. It's called the budget article 4. It's
Separate-
right in there. So
separate
you want a
Separate
separate
article.
article. I wanna make sure the separate is in there.
Separate
to
article
take the
outside
wiggle.
of the budget.
So that deals with part of the problem. There's another part of the problem.
I would
When it
also,
comes to
I would also offer that I think from a standpoint of just grammatical, I would state it in the positive rather than the negative, so to say. Shall become effective only upon,
Yeah.
Passage
no, that's a
of a
good point.
separate article
right,
and funding source.
to finish up as we've been talking, but,
I like the
but
free
it
cash issue.
shall become,
Right.
not shall not
Higher.
become, it's confusing.
For years.
Not confusing to me.
Well, it's
But it's still-
potentially more confusing.
I'm happy to
It's a
take the
funding
nod out.
source.
Yeah, it's fine.
But it is.
Shall
The
only
double
become
negative,
effective
yeah.
when, upon
Should.
passage. upon
Positions
approval.
have.
Until the position has
year.
been funded
Shall
by a
become
town.
effective
vote of
only
town
upon
meeting.
We
the
don't have,
affirmative.
we
In
don't
the
have,
form
Yeah.
of-
we don't have to
the-
wordsmith this.
No,
It
we're not gonna
changes.
wordsmith.
I would,
Well, I'm gonna hand this all over, because that's why we're paying the consultants, to put all of this into
Wordsmith.
proper wording,
This way.
and then we look at it, and then we could wordsmith this nickel dime
So when you
stuff.
add to it, the question is separate article
Yep,
and funding source, whatever it might be, and you wanted to
and
say something.
identifies the
Yeah,
funding source.
I really, I'm also, I think that we need a whole discussion on this whole funding and funding sources. And we should keep going through this because
In what
in what
respect?
sense?
here's where I'm having an issue. I hate free cash. Okay, I hate free cash
Well, we're
because,
not gonna have any,
Call your legislator.
but
we
I
have no-
have,
we have
I
no-
have,
Do you mean the term?
in
or-
my budget for 5 years, 6 people that I haven't hired, which I can then use even in my own department. I wanna take a look at that and say,
what does free cash got to do with it?
That was free cash
well,
budget.
where's all the funds go to that aren't used?
There is a select board policy that free cash, which is really leftover cash,
Right.
which means actual versus budget gave you extra money.
Yeah, it's the
Right.
difference
In a-
between what we took in and what we spent.
And
Yeah, I
therefore,
understand.
but there's a
And-
policy that says it shall not be used for operating expenses.
And what's it used for?
It get used for projects. But that is not a charter issue.
That's
Yeah,
absolutely,
That's
yeah.
Mass General Law.
no, Lou,
No, Lou.
we're not touching free cash in this charter.
Well, I can do that by warrant article, I understand, but here, if we're taking a look at fixing for the next 30 years, manipulation of the budget, and that's what I call it, is something we should focus on. And I, as a TA, or I, as a select board, have been able to do that in the past by little trickeries. Gee, I need 6 firemen, as an example, but I only need 2. And the next year, I need another one, but I only filled 1. And so that I always have that to use.
And Lou,
That's
that
not a real
that
representation.
never happens in business. Yes, it does.
Yeah, but I can go to
How-
here.
there-
In business, I'm not
it-
playing
it-
with
it-
somebody else's money, I'm playing with
No,
my profits.
It's not our job to box in the budget process. It's, what we're doing here is trying to make timelines so that everybody gets the information they need in a timely way. There are a whole host of things that we need not get involved in.
But if we box in on the front end,
No,
No.
saying you have to list each employee, that's boxing in.
listing,
Then isn't it the
Wait a
same on the
minute,
back end?
listing every
Okay.
employee where? In the budget process, every department says, I have these 4 firefighters, I have these 2 sergeants, I have 2
New
lieutenants, I
employee,
have
new
this.
employee, new
Okay,
employee,
we're only talking to employees.
new employees.
Yes,
that's exactly what.
what we just said.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that, I'm saying that's fine. That's a guardrail to the budget.
So what's not fine?
What's not fine is us not looking at the back half to say, if you don't fill those positions, is there a time frame that you have to fill them or give them back?
Oh, I see. what you're
Oh,
saying.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
that starts
So
getting,
it's like, yeah,
you know, you can't have one on one end but none on the other.
yeah.
but then again, any department has a person who either resigns, retires, or something, and it takes 3 months.
I'm
To hire
talking 3
that
years.
Finance
I don't think
director.
we have any of these.
Customarily,
Watch, how about our engineer?
customarily, most, I think most of the departments do turn back funds at the end of the year that
Because
they
of
haven't
that.
used because of that.
And how,
But
what
it's
does that,
still on the
that screws up your
books of
budget.
something.
No, it
No,
goes
it
back to free
doesn't.
cash,
It goes
is what
back
it
to
does.
free cash.
It goes
cash.
down to
But
free
it's
cash.
still on the budget.
But look what I can do.
But here's the thing.
Okay, we're getting way outside of the charter. So,
No,
one
can
more
I-
comment. Go ahead, Richard.
Only one.
There's a time we need to have a budget discussion.
Yes,
It's probably not right now,
yes.
because we have yet engineer, finance director, a number of people who've gone extensive periods of time not hiring.
Right.
And then what happens, there's a question, what happens to the funds? It comes back at free cash.
It's used, yes.
So, and again, people not doing the jobs, this is the theme, okay? The job is, here's the budget, you had X amount in there for 2 years at X amount per year, 100,000 or whatever, but we're not hired it, where's that money now going? Is it going back to free cash? It's a different discussion, I think not for tonight.
I'm fine with that. I just want to have that discussion.
And I'm not even sure it's a charter issue, because if the select board is saying that, Richard, you've had this job and you haven't filled it in 3 years, you obviously don't need it, pull it out. The select board has a responsibility too. I'm not sure that's in the charter, because now I think we're micromanaging
Okay.
some stuff.
I'm
Okay,
gonna look at it.
okay. We good?
What's next?
Water sewer, should the elected commissioners have same level of control over the employees like the library trustees?
Yes.
I think the answer is yes,
Yeah.
that we
Thank
heard.
you.
So that is a yes. I've got some language that can be put in there which mirrors what the library has. We've got how to codify the access by the select board and other town agencies to department heads. At public meetings, I think we say yes, but required attendance, should department heads be required to attend the appropriate agency meetings? Should the golf superintendent have to go to the golf committee meetings? it's kind of hard, I mean,
How does the committee
I just-
know what to do or what's
Without
going on without the staff being involved with the discussion?
and how can you make a budget decision, because we'll use the golf committee for an example, they're supposed to have an opinion on the budget. How can they have an opinion on the budget if they can't talk to the person who prepared it? So how do we want to codify that somehow in here with language that, because I know that we want to keep the guardrails that says that Lou here as a select board doesn't trot off to some department and start telling them what to do.
I would know.
And you would never do that. But I know we want to avoid that, but how do we get the access in there? Do we want to codify that?
Okay, here's the thing, I think I chair two committees. The department head of each of those committees in town, or agencies in town, attend every meeting.
Mhm.
Because we do general policy that needs to be implemented by the department head or the director.
Do you have your meetings during regular working hours, or?
We do.
I mean, I know, I'm
We do,
curious.
but here's the thing.
Yeah.
You look at planning board.
Yeah.
Okay, they do evening meetings, it's not during work hours, yet the
planning
planning director is
shows
there.
up.
Same thing with a zoning board of appeals. You know, we try to do it out of courtesy to our
Makes
clients, but
sense, yeah.
the bottom line is there are meetings that are held outside of work times. But the issue comes down to, and that's reasonable, to have that department head there at those meetings. The issue of now access comes to, should a select board member have the right to walk into any department in the town and speak to a department head?
Say that one more time.
Should any select board member have the right, the full access to a department head or an employee of the town?
Well, didn't we talk about this like a month or so ago?
Well, that's the question.
And
Should
the
they?
that they were gonna make, well, we thought that they should make a request through the town administrator,
Yeah.
thank you.
And
Well, if
I
any
think one of the
citizen is a-
sticking points there is that a courtesy request that I would like one of Paul's department heads to come to a meeting to discuss such and thus.
Right.
Is it a courtesy request and Paul says, sure, they'll show up? Or is it Paul gets to say, well, no, I don't want that person there? How do you phrase that? And
Paul's
which
the
way?
TA.
And Paul's the TA at that point. He
Well,
doesn't,
there's already an enjoyment against an individual select board member or the individual member of any committee or commission directing a town employee or a department head, or requesting favors, or that's part of ethics. I mean, there's a whole body of guardrails around that. But inasmuch as any citizen of the town of Harwich can walk into town hall and request to speak to somebody to get some information or whatever, I don't think that the select board should have less access than an average citizen.
The difference between a select board member is I walk in saying, I'm Richard Waystack, I'm a select board member, I want to talk to you about whatever, as a division head. There is a level of, frankly, intimidation that occurs. Because you're technically my boss. Now you're telling me you want to talk about this and you want to do this and you're going to bring it up at a select board meeting. That's all well and good, but you need to have your TA saying, I would like to meet with the assessor. I would like to meet with the director of the Council on Aging before a select board member goes in. Liaison's a different story, if it's a straight liaison situation. But I think there have been times, and I know happened actually recently from a couple committees, went into a couple of my committees, walked through the door, demanded to speak to the director. And I was furious, and I said to the staff, what is the policy? Make an appointment. And you'll let this person come in and really almost browbeat the director.
But would they have made an appointment with them?
It would have
or
been,
would
no,
gone
they
to the
walked right in
TA?
the door,
This
walked
is,
in.
this is somebody on a town committee?
But if,
And that's just a committee member. Imagine if it's a select board member.
So divide it, your question is two-phased, so I'm gonna go back to your first half. There needs to be some communication between department heads and committees.
Correct.
There needs to be some leadership. Now, if you're gonna have a strong town administrator, shouldn't he be required,
He or she,
he or she, forgive me, well, non-binary, he or she be in the charter that they have the obligation to make that happen. And then the actual workings isn't up to us, it's up to the TA. So we're up here saying there needs to be a policy that does this. Now, if the TA doesn't do it, then the select board says, you got a problem.
yeah, you beat the TA. Go
Right,
ahead.
do your job.
So what about even things like emails then? Because anybody could email anybody in this new system. So is that, I mean, the younger generation, that might be the same thing as somebody walking in the door, maybe.
It is.
I don't know. Do you
But
know?
the thing is that, to me, I think the TA, I think would be within their rights as supervising everybody to say, if somebody asks you a question, if you can answer that question or provide that information in 15 minutes, go ahead and copy me. If it's a 3-day research project, talk to me about it and we'll make the decision together. That's not something you put in a charter, that's really management to,
Exactly.
you know, that type of thing. But do we want to have in the charter that department, you know, the head of a department goes to its committee that's it's associated with?
I don't think that's a charter, I think,
I don't agree.
personally,
Okay.
no.
Okay,
I mean, I think it's too micromanaging.
Okay.
And I think there are many incidents when the person just can't. Then does he have to appoint someone to represent him and all of that, or her?
Well, again, if you've got
I think it's not a charter
think of that
issue.
policy
If you've got a
statement
decent
on
town
our part.
administrator, the committee, if it needs help from the staff and it's not getting it, then the committee goes to the town administrator and says,
this is a problem.
this is a
Yeah.
problem.
Now, if we have that resolved, now we can go back to your second point, which is,
I'm not sure it's resolved, because I'm not
Okay.
sure I understand where we've gone, but
then I'll
do
just.
we still want, for example, we have, there are departments that really do need to be at committee meetings, because there is an expertise there that's happening. I'm differentiating between advisory committees and committees that actually are making regulatory things.
Well, the department heads though are intelligent people, and they.
I'm just saying, show up. Should they be going to the
Just try
meetings?
telling them they should. If there's
these
something there
things-
that's important to their division, they'll show up. They're not gonna hide in the
Shouldn't
bushes.
these things be part
I
of the
think
terms
it's,
of their
unnecessary.
employment
Yes.
to begin
One would
with?
think.
Yes.
Shouldn't these things be part of the terms of their employment to begin with?
I would agree.
Yeah.
But it's not a charter.
Well, I don't know, I
Why would
haven't
that
seen the
not-
job postings, so who knows?
Right.
That's why you give it to the town administrator, it's his responsibility to get it done.
I think there's, again, this gets back to do the job, yes.
Yes.
I need you, whoever you are, director of golf, you know, COA director, whatever it might be, planning director for town, building commissioner. We're having a discussion about policy change, we need you at this meeting. Madam Town Administrator, would you make
So-and-so
available at this meeting? That is, and again, that is doing the job.
But what we need to do our job, is to say that the town administrator's responsibility is to put a policy for communication between department heads, attendance and so forth.
It's not so much the policy,
Well-
it's so,
Procedure, whatever.
but the charter isn't particularly procedure or procedure driven, particularly, but do we want it to say, the town, under the town administrators, the town administrator upon, and I'm not the wordsmith here, upon request by a town agency, which basically covers all of them, including the select board, will make every effort, will,
I don't think this needs to be in your charter.
I'm thinking
don't
it's a
think we do.
bylaw at best, and I'm not sure it's there.
Appropriate.
I'm thinking it's a management
It is management.
management issue.
And if the
Yeah,
staff is not being managed in a way that is conducive to
Effective,
getting business
creative.
done in the town of Harwich, then we've hired the wrong town administrator.
But I think this, whoever brought it up originally, cause I'm not remembering, but I think they said it was because someone had shown up, someone that is either on the select board or head of, on one of the committees, had done this.
It's happened.
It's happened.
It's
Well, that's
happened
a
many
good-
times.
That's a good job for an HR, a decent HR
Right.
person to sort
We
out.
have one of those,
Don't
don't we?
we?
No, to be honest with you, it
Yeah.
was reported.
Yeah,
It was reported that, hey, this is, in my estimation, I'm just a chair, but it was inappropriate.
and
And that's-
folks that serve on commissions or committees or select boards are all special employees
Except
that
us.
need to, except us, okay, but I'm yeah, really?
Really?
Um,
We're not any kind of, we're not
what-
even under ethics.
Different topic, but just to be, I just don't wanna get sidetracked.
No, so
Because
it
we do,
doesn't,
we could
it doesn't belong in the charter.
Got it. And I think part of it comes up with, for the past 2 years, even though we haven't had a finance director, but we've had interim ones, they have not been at the finance committee meetings. How can the finance committee be discussing finances if they don't have the technical person there?
Well, again, that's a management.
And that was a management issue. So,
Um,
so we're not gonna codify access to town department heads, so we're just not gonna do that. Great, done. Just moving on, trying to get through this list.
the whole list
I'd like to,
tonight?
well, I'd like to get through the page and a
First
half. Page and a half,
She said, I'm not staying here this long.
I am. I think we still need to define what is meant by a comprehensive budget. We've used that phrase, comprehensive
How about
budget,
all inclusive?
or all-inclusive, but it still needs to be defined. So I think that's still an open issue. Along with the next two, those three are all sort of the same thing. Define what is to be included in the town warrant. Basically now we don't include very much. Define what is meant by information to be included in the budget and financial assessments. You know, how should the debt schedule be in the warrant? What should be in the warrant for financial information? Because we don't even put in the revenue section page anymore. All we have in there is the expenses. We don't
there
even
is
tell
no
people it's,
revenue.
probably not.
Lots of
It's
revenue.
my humor for the evening.
No revenue.
I said maybe there is no revenue.
Oh, no. Then we're wasting our time because there's no money
There's
to
no
run the
time.
government, therefore we do not need to define what it is.
Would a couple of people like to take that on and noodle over what should be included in the warrant in terms of all the financial information? Because I know
Yeah,
for a
actually, there's
while,
quite a bit in the warrant,
There
if you really spend time in there.
there's the budget,
But
and
there's
that's
a
it.
lot in there that it deals with the funds are coming from and other considerations.
it's very top level. It just says, you know, municipal sources.
Go to 925, please.
What page?
24.
He says, please.
925, 926.
No, we didn't.
He did too.
926.
925, 926, page 24.
Yep,
Take a moment to read those.
this is the budget message.
And where is the budget message? Where is the budget done?
Select board.
I'm
But it's also, the
confused.
budget goes to the warrant. This is the budget. that
This is
go-
the budget message.
Right, but.
You will have a 2% increase in this. You will
Read
do this.
926.
Budget shall complete financial plan. Yep,
And a financial plan should have revenues, expenses, and what is a financial plan?
yep. And also, I think, but do we want to include debt schedules? Because there's no debt information in the
Yes.
budget. It just says debt service and there's a number.
I
Yeah,
think
I
we
know.
need to talk to a new finance director. I think they're ahead of us in terms of some of this now. They're really thinking ahead, yep, that's what I heard.
Plus, we are soon to have a new
Because
town administrator.
Moving forward, when is that coming in, when is that going out? That was
All
a
that.
discussion.
And the debt that is sitting there that hasn't hit the tax
Right.
bills yet.
I just always thought it'd be interesting to have an online portal that has links to, like, I know in the water wastewater department, we've got this beautiful 5-year plan, and we look out 40 years of, like, seriously, what we're gonna have to replace on infrastructure estimated, and it's very informative, right?
Is that's called planning and budgeting.
And that's your website, which functions apparently quite nicely, as opposed to another one, I can get that.
But wouldn't it be nice if there was a page that everybody could go to a month before town meeting, should they wish to, and read through all the different reports, like, why do you need 3 more firemen? Well, there have been an increase of 10% increase in fires or ambulance calls or something. Do you know, I mean, does that make sense?
It does, because a lot of that information is done in the budgeting process.
Yeah.
Because I know when I sat on the select board, there was still, we would get all kinds of memos from each department would say, this is my budget, it is X% over last year, what's driving that is this, that, and the other thing. Our wish list is 2 more individuals to do such and thus, or we'd like some funding to upgrade our computer programming or whatever. We had all kinds of information. None of that is available to the public. And yet we asked the public to say, would you like to spend $45 million? Sure.
Is that an outrageous ask? I mean, do other towns do it?
I think it gets down to the next topic, which is something that Sandy is very near to her heart, which is a pre-town meeting, where you actually talk about that stuff.
Well, I'd be happy to, if we're gonna make subcommittees, to work on that.
Can only have 2,
Sorry?
can only have 2 people.
Well, if it's
What do
an,
you mean we can only have 2? Oh,
Yeah,
well,
Oh, for,
yeah,
oh, we could post it, you mean?
yeah,
If
we
we
yeah,
can
we
have
could
post
do
it.
that.
Yeah.
No problem.
I'd be happy to serve, I love it.
Send?
I'd do
Go
it
ahead.
as well.
Okay.
all right,
Oh, you 3 go play.
go play.
Form a subcommittee.
Codify
Okay.
town,
You're the chair.
Yeah, Chair.
and you have to, if you're an
I'm
author,
not the
but
secretary.
you're an authorized subcommittee of this group, so you have to post your you have to post your meetings, and you have to post minutes.
Lovely.
So you guys got that, right?
Here we go to
He
jail.
looks so excited, doesn't he?
He sounds so thrilled. But what about the pre-town meeting? I
I
mean,
think
right now,
it's
we have this
great.
very general, what has happened in the past several years has been this sort of very general, yeah, we're gonna have a town meeting, and yeah, there's a budget, and here's a couple of articles that are gonna be interesting. We don't actually go through anything,
You know, and then and how much do we pay for each book to be printed,
a ton.
you know? And,
That's not,
Anybody?
no, thank you.
please, thank you.
Go ahead, Paul.
I just don't see it in
Well,
the
thank
charter.
you.
I don't think it should be a charter.
Okay,
Again,
I agree.
I don't think we should sort of muck it up with extra extraneous items here. We need to get this approved, right? And you throw in any little thing and all you do is agitate maybe 2 other people, 5 other people before you know it. You don't have a majority.
Sandy, this is your concept.
Well, I don't necessarily think it needs to be in the charter, I just think it's something that needs to happen. On whether it's the excuse me, choking, formation of, you know, some kind of civic group that takes it on the way it used to be.
Chamber used to do it. Right?
Chamber used to do it, it doesn't happen anymore. Whether it's a series of YouTube videos that people can access. Whether it's somehow tied to another event that people would go to, and oh, by the way, we're also having a pre-town meeting with that, even though you might not go to that. Usually you might come to this spaghetti dinner. You know, get them to have a spaghetti dinner and then have the pre-town meeting while everybody's trying to eat. Something, you know, I mean, it just, this is to me the purview of a voter information committee more than anything. But it just hasn't been happening.
Again,
That's why I've
do the
got,
job.
that's why I've got
It-
some of
this-
these here,
yeah.
because I think they are not charter issues, but we brought them up as concepts. So I kinda wanna either move forward with them or toss them off the list.
Can you please educate me on voter information committee?
What about it?
Where does it come from? Who authorizes it? Who appoints?
It's a selectman appointed.
Okay, so
Select
it's a
board?
select,
It's a.
okay, so this goes back to the discussion, do the job. If you have a committee, you have a charge to a committee, you have a liaison to a committee,
Do your job.
do the job. And if the committee's not doing the job, you replace the committee.
Well, is there, does it say in their in the charter that the,
Voter
that
information,
committee,
It's not in the
has to
charter. It's not in the charter.
Oh.
It's an advisory, effectively an advisory.
I mean, if
committee.
you wanted to put it in the charter as a thing, it occurs to me, you could say there shall be a voter information committee who shall be responsible for running a pre-town meeting during the month of April in any given year.
That's interesting.
Well, then it puts the responsibility on somebody. If you have a committee that is constituted to get information out to the voters, then it would be immortalized.
But they have a committee, the select board have appointed a committee, they have not done the job to oversee the committee.
Well, maybe we should define the committee and give them a job.
Now we're,
They have a job,
micromanaging.
right, right, they have,
But we do that with other committees as well, so I mean,
Only
it's
a
not
few.
out of the question. Well,
when
I
you
can't
look
think
at,
of anything more important than getting information out to the voters. But
But
that's just
also,
me.
I think that I have no idea how new or how ancient the charge is for any committee. There are an awful lot of committees, agencies, whether they're regulatory or they're advisory, that their charges haven't been reviewed, in up to 9 years. Come on in, Brendan.
get your money?
Um,
Sorry about that.
So-
They grilled me, so.
There are a couple of committees that have updated their charges. I think a lot of them haven't.
Well, I think the select board has been going through and updating charges. There've just been a lot of things ahead of it, but
Yeah,
maybe that's something we,
maybe we just have that as a comment to something else.
Going
Yeah.
through the open
All right, cool.
And-
Next on the list, another, Sandy suggested this, whether we should have,
Gotcha.
should we have a fall town meeting? Should we split town meeting into two parts? That the May town meeting is primarily financial. The fall town meeting, we'll call it October, would be primarily all those zoning bylaw changes and all the stuff that is primarily not financial. I know any article can have a financial component, but the bylaw stuff, charter changes, all that stuff goes there.
here's
And we've got two, I mean, what do you think?
here's what, I've always felt we should have this, but I'm thinking that where we are right now as a town, in our planning phases, and with a lot of the things that are going on that displease many people, that those zoning issues, if we start looking at different ways of talking about our zoning, maybe different ways of looking at our planning, it's been suggested to me that, the whole planning thing needs to be redone, because we've got crazy overlays and all kinds of, that planning and zoning may become two, more than ever, hot button issues in this town over the next few years. I think it's inevitable. So you've got your regular town meeting where you take care of the fiscal stuff, and then you set aside that fall town meeting when the people are all here still, because mostly the part-timers haven't left, or the people who are resident voters but spend a portion of time, and sometime in October, ideally, where you can really just drill down on those zoning issues and what is a town to do to balance all the interests of various villages and citizens groups and what have you, because I think when we get into those, there's going to be some very lengthy discussions on town meeting floor
Two
about
things,
those things.
Sandy. One is the costs. What's the cost of a town meeting?
What's the
Generally, do
benefit
we
of
know?
it?
Anybody know? Does
There
it
was a
cost-
number that was out there, I mean, help me.
You mean
I mean, are the
fully-
people gonna say, wait,
$5,000
it's
to
just gonna
$10,000
double, it's
to
gonna
put
be
on a
a
town
I think it's
cost
probably
on
more
the
than that, 'cause
community,
now
let's
we-
do it
Now
all.
we have the
Well-
person who's doing the interpretive
Clickers.
Clickers.
I think,
Yeah.
Paul, you could do a cost benefit analysis. I mean, what is too much to put into making sure that we deal with these things, you know, not over 4 nights in
Properly.
the same
Yeah,
week.
no, I understand, but it might be a concern of some.
Well-
Second thing is, at times, we have difficulty even getting people to the second night, let alone a third night or whatever, but if you divide it, I'd be curious how many, I know that there's certainly more towns today that have 2 meetings.
We
Then-
used to.
Yeah,
Well, that's what, and I wanted to go back to both of
it's
you.
happening.
Right.
But does it dilute
Actually-
interest in one or the other, and therefore make a quorum issue over, let's say, a couple of
Well,
nights more problematic?
I suspect that you'd probably get better attendance from 2 two-night meetings separate than one
Yeah.
4-night meeting.
And I think our
Emily
neighborhood
did a
towns
study on
would,
this.
would back that up too.
Well,
They've
and
had great
also,
turnout.
Paul, the fact of the matter is that we're gonna be heading into some really, I think, we've got the new local planning comprehensive plan, or,
Yeah,
I think we're gonna be heading into some really controversial and complicated issues with
School
regards
budget
to
and
zoning and
everything.
planning.
Mhm.
I think it also would, you know, even though it didn't have to strictly be zoning, you can have other articles, but I think there are some things that by October, sometimes they, in hindsight, wish they'd addressed in the spring. You'd have the people who have been here all summer that haven't left yet, that often don't get here by our May town meeting. So it might accommodate a lot more people. We did this with the original charter. We had a spring and a fall town meeting. I don't know why it was ended. It shouldn't have been, because it was very successful. It worked.
It did
And
during
as far as the
COVID,
cost
too.
is concerned, I think it's a drop in the bucket.
Okay, how about we take this one and have this be a continuing discussion, because I don't think
Love
we're
it.
gonna solve this one here.
Can we agenda that for next week to pick it up and let's go on it? And I wanna hear what you have to say about Emily's study on it.
Oh,
She
Let's
wasn't
leave
interested.
Okay,
that
that's
for
fine.
next week.
But if we can agenda it so that we can,
Yep.
let's not put it off for another 3 or 4 weeks, let's
Okay.
hammer it next week.
I think town meeting, we already,
I
town
wanna hear more
agencies,
from Paul.
we already had the numbers of the members of a town agency should be in the bylaw. I think we agreed on that. Capital Outlay Committee, they had asked the question, why is there a member appointed by the planning board to the Capital Outlay Committee?
Yeah.
So,
my point, we have difficulty, we don't even have a full select board participation. They've only appointed one of the 2 people so to get people involved in this, I think if we got to 5, and I think the only reason they picked the planning board was because they needed an odd number. There were 2 select board, 2 finance committee, 2 town administrative appointees, so let's make it 7.
but
I don't know that the planning board has any more involvement than the zoning board or the conservation commission or the historic district commission in the capital outlay issues.
Make a moderator.
That's a good point.
So
So-
would we,
Make
And
a
even
moderator.
even the chair of the planning board doesn't understand why he has an appointee do it.
okay.
The only
So the
person who
question-
likes it is the one appointed.
So do we want to propose that the capital outlay people don't have an appointed member from the planning board?
No, just change it from planning board to
And I
moderator.
would,
Oh, the
and-
moderator.
but
Moderator.
Have the moderator be a member of the
No,
capital
have them
outlay?
appointed member.
Got it. Moderator has a tough enough time proning the
You mean
finance
and keep
committee.
Do your job.
Why don't we
Richard,
just have it be
Richard,
either
do
the
your job.
select board,
Richard,
how about if it's either just
Richard.
the select board?
did you ought to keep it at 7 members?
Yeah.
Cause my
You're not gonna
thought
go to
was-
6.
My
Well,
thought
you go to
was
5.
that since
We just have an
the
odd number.
town administrator has become in essence an ex officio member,
Yeah.
that he would have 1 appointee, not 2. He's there himself or herself, and they would have 1 appointee. So that in essence gets it down to 5 members. And so you've got an odd number.
two
You've got
finance,
2
two-
finance committee, 2 select board, and 1 town
Okay.
administrator
Okay.
appointee.
I'm not hearing an answer to the question,
Yes,
you
which
are.
is, should the
I'm giving
planning?
one.
No, you're not. should the planning board, you're giving how they
Yeah,
should
no,
be appointed.
you've heard the answer,
No.
yes,
No.
get rid of planning
Get
board.
the- Okay, so this is a, done, got it.
And just the point, I think capital outlay is so important in this community. I would rather have 7 qualified members sitting rather than 5. And I don't believe that the town administrator is an ex officio. Their job is to assist the town.
I'm
administrator.
on the committee.
But
Yeah,
they,
but-
but they don't have a vote.
Right, they don't have a vote, the town administrator. And the capital outlay is supposed to be assisting the town administrator according to the charter.
That's correct.
Again,
I don't disagree.
the
But in
job.
fact, that's not quite how it works out, although we've moved mountains
Yeah.
in that direction. But it's still a town administrator conversation with department heads to begin the development of the
Sure.
capital budget.
And that's exactly the reason I want someone like you who's on there, who's knowledgeable, who has a finance background, who can look at the town and say, here's what our budget should be, capital outlay for the next 5 years. I want good expertise like you
Well-
on that.
Well,
But again, we're not, but the question is,
Right, we've already answered it.
so,
No planning
so
board.
let's move on.
But we can't move on unless we say,
Who appoints?
does it
The
remain
alternative
a
is-
7-member committee or does it go to 5 members? Because
Okay,
by
I
dropping
will-
the planning board, we're now at 6.
I will move on the, or I will do some kind of, there is a bylaw that has all the members of the committees. I would say that that is the place that we should be talking about as to how many should be in, rather than having that conversation tonight. Because there are probably other committees that maybe should be this number or that number. How about we move that all to that kind of
Who should
global
decide?
conversation?
Well, it's the question of who does the appointing, who's the appointing authority?
Yeah, but you know what, you're right,
The-
and
the
you've all
number-
just mentioned things that bring it back for another discussion.
Yes.
Not tonight, because
Not
we
tonight.
have
Yeah.
5 minutes left in our 90-minute
Yep.
meeting time.
I think that Lou has brought up the Historic District, Historic Commission to be split into 2 different
away.
agencies. You say.
It's not
give
a
it up.
charter issue.
It's not
my
a
mind,
charter, great, I'm getting rid of that.
It's a bylaw.
Okay, I think we're still talking about elected officials, so I think that's still open. Should the chair of a town agency have a term limit? Are
We're not
we
gonna
on yes
decide,
or
we're
no?
not gonna decide that in 5 minutes.
Had it, so that's another one that's open. The DPW has suggested, because we requested, we sent out letters to all the department heads and to the chairs of all the town agencies. Do you have anything you'd like to put into the pot? And the DPW said they'd like to be renamed Public Works, not Department of Public Works. They're Public Works. I have no which way or the other.
Whatever makes them happy.
Whatever
That's
makes them
right.
happy. So I'm perfectly happy with Public Works. There is a question, Mr. Hooper suggested that there has never been a management advisory team.
Right, that's
So get rid of it.
get rid of it.
We're happy with that?
I am.
Okay, so, and there's a reference in another section on management advisory team, so get
Right.
rid of both of those. Cool. The wastewater, wastewater. Section 664, should it be removed to under the select board? The section refers to who has the responsibility for design and construction of the,
Yeah.
We had the discussion already.
and it should be under chapter 4, which is select board.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go
so
with
this is
the-
a yes.
Go with
Okay,
the
great.
committee.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
May I ask one, or propose, or suggest, or strongly encourage,
Demand?
within the next couple of weeks, remember we have an 18-month calendar. We're well into that, approaching 9 months. I don't know where we stand with respect to milestones in terms of dates we need to sort of hit or point toward. But one thing I would like us to do is, we are in essence doing it tonight, but it's sort of potluck, we're jumping here or there. Would it be possible to start at page 1 and read section 1 and say, have a vote and say, we like this as it is, let's move on. When we get through the end, we're at least able to say, 38% of this charter is reinforced. And we've moved past that. So now we're really looking at items, the remaining 60%, or whatever number it happens to be, that we are either going to remove entirely, or maybe we can make that decision as we go through the first pass, or we're going to amend it or provide new language. But in that way, I feel we've kind of better defining the workload in this remaining period, which is really 3 or 4 months maybe of operational time before we have to start producing a document.
I would suggest that you then read the rest of the 5 or 6 pages, which are changes that we have already agreed to. And they're by chapter. Chapter 1, form of government, no changes. We've already done that, Paul, so read through this.
Well,
Okay,
I mean, we haven't taken a.
I understand where Paul's coming from,
I do
and I think
too.
at some point,
We need to go through it all.
what we should have maybe a right of the chapter with redlined what we've made changes for.
Yeah.
And
And
that if our consultant can do that for us,
That is why that is why I wanted to go
Okay.
through.
Yeah.
What were the open topics? What were the open topics? What could we put to bed? What could I then hand over to the consultants, probably, within
Sure.
the next, 3 or 4 days?
Yeah.
And say, start crafting.
right, so Paul, would that appease you having that,
Uh,
it's in essence a red line addition?
Yes, although I'd like to think that somewhere along the way, somebody requested that we vote to adopt this or reinforce it or restate it as section 1, and we don't have any changes to it.
I would,
I don't know
It's
that
right
we've
here.
taken
Well,
formal votes on everything in this
and
section
we've come to
1.
consensus on most everything that we've discussed.
Yeah,
And I don't think we need to do an individual vote on everything we're changing, where we've come to consensus on most of it.
For example, chapter 1, form of government, we are consensus that we're not making any changes, except for if there are any typos to be fixed, capital versus lowercase, spelling errors, there's some Mickey Mouse stuff that should be done anyways. But I think that if we can get a red line charter with all the stuff that we've already
That helps.
reasonably agreed upon,
Yeah.
Okay,
then that gives us something that we're looking at.
And I think Paul does a point, at one of the meetings when we have a red line edition, we can go through the red line
Absolutely.
edition.
right.
That would,
That's
that's,
what I need. I
okay.
just need to, I think
So
the committee
that
should
would
take some
satisfy.
formal
I know,
action.
but I also think that I would suggest that you read through what we have reasonably agreed to in a consensus. We didn't take any votes, and I know there are a couple of things in here where there would be one protest nickel, but everybody else was happy.
yeah.
What's gonna be the consensus of the group?
But does general consensus translate into approval by this committee?
Eventually it will, when we have a.
That's my
when-
point. We
when-
gotta
I know it
get
is, Paul,
through
but you're
things.
not listening to me. When
Yes, I
we get-
am.
No,
I'm
you're
not getting the
When-
answer I
when-
want.
That's right, because you're not getting, that's why you're saying I'm not listening to you, because you're not getting the answer you want. When we get a red line,
That was me.
I assume that we will then go through that red line. We will have whatever it is, we will come to agreement, and then we will make a vote that says, this is what we are going to propose. When we get that thing wordsmithed, redlined, put together, that's the point where we look at this document and say, are we happy with chapter 1? Yes, here we go. This is the new charter. We're gonna vote that this is what we propose. Yes, we will take a vote.
But are you talking
Okay.
about doing it piece by piece, and you're talking about doing the whole thing? Or am I just
Sounds
tired?
like
Maybe I'm just
We
tired.
sell it up. There'll be a red line edition, we'll go through the red line edition, we will take a vote on the entire thing when we're done. And basically, there are gonna be some issues there that one or two of us disagree with, but the majority of the committee agree with.
How
but
about
to-
we go
to-
chapter by chapter?
We can do that once we have a
Once
red
we
line
have a red
edition.
line.
Can we add a couple things to your list at this
So-
time?
My colleagues.
Sure,
if you don't mind.
sure, what else do you
I'm
have?
just
Okay, I have
We
two things
need,
on mine. that
we
you
need
have.
to look at
Okay.
every
One-
one, not to adopt it as a
one
whole
person at a
until
time.
we've adopted something in each individual part.
We will do that, but we're not gonna,
Okay.
we'll do that when we get a red line, cause
Don't wanna
we've
make
made
it too
so many
late.
changes
Not tonight, we
that
have
we'd
a
be
headache.
going through everything again. Blue,
This is not that important, but we did discuss a code of conduct.
and I don't think that's a charter issue.
Nope.
That's not a charter issue,
I might agree with you on that it might be
Yeah.
a charter issue.
Yeah.
but
And I'm happy to hold it for another time.
Okay, second, and this is an important one, I think we need an honest and clear discussion, maybe at the beginning of next week, on a vision statement. And not writing a vision statement, but on the purpose of a mission statement in a charter.
Can I ask a
It'd be an
question?
in-camera
Don't look at
you
her,
used,
look at her.
you used vision and mission. Which one you talking about?
Let's go vision first.
Okay,
Can I ask a
Go.
question? Can this group authorize that every 5 years there will be, these kind of charrettes?
Only if you guarantee I'm here.
charrettes.
That there is some kind of function where the entire town can be part of a.
10 years is required.
But that's
But Laura,
through a
what are we gonna
committee,
do?
Required. I'm not sure what
I-
you're talking
What are we
about.
talking about?
Updating
the
charter.
visioning thing.
Oh, the
Yes.
vision.
Well,
We
that's the,
can-
that's
yes.
the.
That's part of the vision
But
discussion.
so that, not so that it's a committee that does the visioning, but that, and here I'm going back to the town of Keene, New Hampshire, they do this every 5 or 10 years, they hire a firm that, you know, there are specialty firms that do these sort of things, and
Strategic
it's a
planning.
3-day process usually.
This is strategic planning.
Strategic planning, and they have all these workshops on all different topics that anybody in the town can come and participate in.
Bad idea.
And it has been extraordinary how, they have reached consensus in that town, and they do not have the strife that a lot of towns on the Cape are experiencing because of enlarged population. You know, it's just, it's a really neat.
Isn't that some of that, though, the local comprehensive plan, which is,
LCP has a vision statement.
But
It's
that
not
they've
a
done.
vision
that's
statement.
one group.
You'd have to link
as
all the plans
opposed
into
to-
that mission statement.
Right.
yeah,
I would
all the
think.
plans
Cost
are
production
in
plan,
that.
all the plans would
I
be
don't
in it.
want,
So
And
that's-
also-
can we discuss
My,
it
my,
next week?
my
Well,
question
no, no,
was,
but next
can,
week, 'cause we got
Or
a lot
whenever,
to
but
do.
okay, can I, just
Yeah.
one thing?
Go ahead.
So recently, Joyce McIntyre gave a presentation on the LCP and said it's a, living document. So that's kind of what you're referencing, where it could be
no,
outdated.
no, I'm referencing
Planning session.
actual planning sessions
Yes.
that are citizen driven,
Okay, gotcha.
that it's,
Like a
oh, you know what,
retreat.
Yes,
A
sort
retreat
of,
where you
I
go
will get
away and
references,
Got a 7,000
Linda, I will
person
send them
machine.
to you to distribute, so
You
that
can
you guys.
distribute them yourselves. I
Okay,
don't
well,
need
it's
to
right
do
on
it.
a website,
Send us all the
and-
link, that's fine.
it's a really, it's like having town meeting, but on all different
breakout
topics.
groups
How about
and
it?
so forth,
Breakout
yeah.
groups, and, people put stickers on the wall, and they, like
Strategic plan.
like what we
Mhm.
do
The
here.
strategic planning.
Yeah, and it's very engaging,
forum.
I
their
understand.
town is about the same population-wise, I
They're
think, as
smarter.
our. They're
We'll call
smaller.
call it a blame storming session.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move to adjourn.
Second the
Happy.
motion.
Oh,
Thank you.
all right.
Hey, Sandy, you
8:07.
mentioned sometime about doing kind of a.
I know you're afraid of the general public, that Paul, you don't wanna be